Hello and welcome to another Wednesday, and time for us just to catch up. And before we get into anything, I must explain this is my one-man attempt after however many weeks of lockdown and not visiting the barbers. This is my one-man attempt to try and control the mass that's going on under there. So who knows, by Sunday I may have developed another way. But until then, you'll have to forgive me. The hair is bolted down. But anyway, just want to chat for a couple of minutes really and catch up as we do on a Wednesday as a church. And really I want to pick up on something that Hannah said on Sunday, which has really stuck with me throughout the week. And, you know, she's been teaching us about the fact that we're loved and we're accepted and God takes us and we don't have to earn his approval. But she said this one little phrase on Sunday that really stuck with me, and it was this. She said, we are not called to live a life judged, but to live a life loved. I'm going to say that again. We're not called to live a life judged, but we're called to live a life loved. And that just got me thinking, because there's something about human beings that we have a... we can't help ourselves kind of relationship with judging. There's something about us that just makes us want to judge. And sometimes we judge with good reason. Sometimes we judge knowingly. And sometimes we judge and we don't even know that we're doing it. But we judge. We judge others. And sometimes, like we said, for good reason, we judge others because maybe they hurt us. Sometimes we judge others because, if we're being honest, we're trying to deflect and mask our own insecurities. There are times we judge ourselves. Because maybe we don't feel good enough. Or sometimes we're just so disappointed with ourselves for how we've conducted ourselves, or how we reacted, or what we've done, and sometimes the most painful judging that can go on is the judging that goes on the inside, where we judge ourselves. Sometimes we judge situations. You know, sometimes they help us to process why we feel like we're not matching up. You know, well, it's because of this and it's because of that, and maybe if this was different, and sometimes we judge others in situations. I mean, I wonder how many of you have been having interesting discussions like we have in the home and with family and with friends about politics and government and how the government's handling this situation, and those who are for and those who are against, and the reality is this, folks, in this unique situation, none of us, I don't care who we are, none of us really have any idea of what it is to be at the coalface to that extreme. But what is it about human beings? We sit down, I can't believe they've not tested more sooner. You know, the armchair critic. You know, you've heard me talk about this a lot, haven't you, church, about the sitting back in your armchair, you know, watching the football, critiquing the team. If that was my team, I'd do this, I'd drop that player and I'd play him. Really? Or if I was leading the cabinet, we'd be doing this and we'd be doing that. Really? If we're looking to stimulate the economy to bounce back, they don't want to do it. We need to be doing this. We've all done it. Armchair critics, judging. Now, Jesus said something very to the point about judging. And he said this. Let me just find it here. Matthew 7 and verse 1 and verse 2. He says, judge not, that you may not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. Look at that. He says here, the measure with which you judge, that will be the measure which you are judged. Which tells me this. Every time we judge, we are setting ourselves up to be judged by the same motives, the same standard, and the same frame of reference that we've used. There's no escape. It's inevitable. If you like, it's a formula. It's a law. There's no getting around this. If you judge, that is how you will be judged. If I judge, that's how I'll be judged. And And the reality is we're all playing to this formula. Let me see if I can give you some examples. We're in lockdown, right? I know that if I am, and you know what it's like when you're all at home and all living under the same roof and all competing for the Wi-Fi, or all want to watch something on the TV, or sometimes you just wake up and you have a bad day. Isn't that, mate? You go to bed happy, wake up the next morning feeling awful, feeling grumpy, and you can't work out for the life of you what's changed. But the moment that, I won't talk about you, let me talk about me. The moment I'm sharp or short with Hannah, I'm just setting myself up for the fact that when the roles are reversed, what you sow you shall reap. So I can't act surprised now if Hannah's going to be sharp and short with me, because I set that in motion. If I snap at the kids, I can't be all surprised when suddenly now that's how the kids relate with me, because the measure with which I judged, it is now coming back to me. If only they would be more like me. I wonder how many of us have found, if only they would be more considerate like me, if only they would do more around the house like me. You know, sometimes you can have a justifiable reason for judging, but you're still judging. And here's the reality with judging as well, folks. Judging is no respecter of the day. Let me put it this way. I'm revealing all my business here. You can have a day when you're doing well and you're offering opinions and you're judging, you're correcting, you're doing all these kind of things. But what that doesn't take into account is that the next day when you wake up and maybe you haven't got it all together, judging takes no recognition of that. If you set the terms on a good day, even if you're having a bad day, you're going to be dealt with the terms on the good day. In other words, you can judge when you're strong, but sometimes your strength will come back to bite you in the buttocks. And really, the reality is this. You get into that game, you get into that life, you judge, they judge back. You judge, you explain, you justify, they judge, they justify. And you get to the place where you'll win some, and then you'll lose some. And I can tell you from my own experience, folks, you get into that cycle, you will lose more than you win. And that's the truth. So let me point us in the direction of something that Jesus said, and it's very well known, but in 1 Corinthians 12, the Apostle Paul speaking here, and Jesus is speaking because he's the Word, he's the living Word, but the Apostle Paul is talking about spiritual gifts and the church and the anatomy of the church, and every joint supplies, and it's all knitted together, and it's just a wonderful chapter. And then he starts to talk about different spiritual gifts, and that's a wonderful thing. But right at the end of 1 Corinthians 12 in verse 31, he says this: earnestly desire the best gifts. And he's talking about prophecy and different gifts. And he says earnestly desire the best gifts. But he doesn't stop there, and then he says this: and yet I'm now about to show you a more excellent way, or a better way. Imagine that. He's been talking about gifts and desiring the best gifts, and when he's done that, he says this: but listen, after you've dealt with all these gifts, and even if you get the best gift, you desire it, you believe for it, and you walk in it, that is still not the ultimate, because now he's about to say, for all your gifts, for all your abilities, for all your callings, and for all your anointings, I'm now about to show you an even better way than that. And then he goes into 1 Corinthians 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but I have not, here's the most excellent way, I have not love, I've become nothing more than sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, hey prophet, though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all the faith, hello faith giants, so that I could even remove a mountain, but I have not love, I'm nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, hello philanthropists, and though I give my body to be burned, hello martyrs, and though I do all those things, but if I have not love, it profits me nothing. And if I was going to add another verse in there as well, this will be in the Mark P's version, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 3/A. And if I was the most right, opinionated person who got everything right and could see to the heart of every matter and was instructing everybody to be more like me, but if I didn't do it in love, what's the point? He then goes on. He goes to explain now what love is, because many of you think love is this kind of fluffy, emotional. No. Love is practical. He says this: love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up. Imagine, even if in our own houses we stopped judging and we just did that verse there. You know, we were patient. We were kind. We were not envious. We did not parade ourselves. We were not puffed up. He then goes on, verse 5. Love does not behave rudely. Love does not seek its own. It is not provoked, and it thinks no evil. Love does not rejoice in iniquity, but it rejoices in truth. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. And love endures all things. And in verse 8 it says this: and love never fails. You're judging, you'll win some and you'll lose some. In other words, you'll judge and then you'll be judged and then you'll realise you failed. But when you love, and by love we mean when you're patient, when you delight in truth, when you don't delight in somebody else's downfall, when you are not rude, when you are, the other person might be being a fool, but when you decide to respond in love and not in a judgmental attitude, he says there, love never fails. Oh, it may feel like for a moment that you're not making any progress. It may feel for a moment that you're not getting anywhere, and maybe you feel like you're just opening the door for people to take advantage. But there will come a day where the love that you live and the love that you speak and the love that you stand on and that you stand by will produce fruit. And so, I'm saying all that simply to say this: on this Wednesday night, love your household. Be patient with them. Yeah, they're going to get it wrong from time to time. That's okay, because you've got it wrong just as much as they have. Or if we're being honest, maybe a bit more than they have. They just haven't found out yet. Love your house. Love your wives. Love your husband. Love your children. Be patient with them. You're all around the house, and be patient with them. These are the kids that you were believing God for. You were fasting for those children when you thought you couldn't have them, and now they're here. Don't take it out on them. I'm staggered that, and you watch the news, I'm sure you do, like I do, the statistics that are coming out, and domestic violence, you know, through the roof, and the reason why they think that is because of lockdown. The fact that people are living in close proximity for longer. What's all that about? No. Love them. Don't be one of those people where it's so easy to take it out on those who are closest, and even those that we value the most, because we think we can get away. No. Love them. They're precious, and you know that they're precious. Stop judging. Stop asking everybody to be like you, because you know you don't want anybody to be like you, because you go to bed with you and your head hits the pillow and you know all your shortcomings. Listen, there but by the grace of God go all of us. So listen, on this Wednesday night, all I wanted to say simply is this: stop judging, start loving. And as we do that, it's not a cliche, as we do that, love never fails. May the sound of laughter start to become a more familiar sound in your house. May the sound of conversation that is born out of love around your dinner table with your kids, with your spouse, whoever's in your house, may the arguments become less. And may words of life and love and happiness and joy become more. I could talk about this all night, so I'm going to stop. That's our Wednesday. We're only supposed to be 10 minutes and I've gone over. But listen, love never fails. And at the end of the chapter, it says the more excellent way, faith, hope and love, the more excellent way is love. The greatest of these is love. But anyway, that's it. So anyway, stop judging. Yeah, you. Stop judging and start loving. All right. That's us done. We'll see you Sunday. By the way, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this Wednesday, Thursday or this week, don't forget Hope Church. We've got our quiz on Friday from 6 o'clock. So keep an eye out for your emails, and if we don't have your email address, send it to us and we'll take care of all that, because you need an email address to register on Zoom, so we'll take care of all that. But until then, we'll see you soon.